when you look at those old shows, it was like the person's identity has been
Oh,
held.
like blocked out.
Yeah. Like I felt like I was gonna end up starting like it was a dark and stormy night when this happens and blah 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 blah.
Oh, oh, man, Wade, talk about 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 oh, he's an old man, old ass man, with his old ass, old man Wade ain't nothing to fuck with, old man Wade might stump a cunt quick, don't call old man Wade a punk bitch, cause he'll kung fu kick you in the dick, old man Wade ain't nothing to fuck with, old man Wade might stump a cunt quick, don't call old man Wade a punk bitch, cause he'll kung fu kick you in the dick. Congratulations, old man Wade, for you were victorious by way of swift kick to the dick.
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I am your host, the God of Stub and the Lord of Laughter, the apparent petty Old Man Wade. And I'm sitting here with my lovely wife, with her normal enthusiasm as always. And today we have another special guest. And I want to shout out to Duke from Duke Loves Wrestling for setting this up because he's awesome and he does all these amazing things. We conversed for a little while and this seemed like I got excited for the interview. So tell everyone who you are.
My name's Kim Artlip. I am the owner and promoter of Ignite Wrestling in Vero Beach, Florida. So yeah, I'm one of only a handful of female promoters in the world. And it is me, not my husband doing it. I'm not just the chick that does the social media. I do it all.
You know, it's disappointing that you even have to acknowledge that.
I get a lot of it, and I get a lot of it. People always say, well, how involved is your husband? Well, he shows up on show days and sells tickets, but, you know, that's about it. I have not, honest to God, I have not seen my husband even use a computer in probably 3 years. He has an iPad, but if I would say, hey, honey, update the website or, you know, design a graphic or, you know, tweet something out for me, he would probably vapor lock and die because he doesn't do that.
I'm sorry, that's pretty funny. But why do you think that is? Like, because I know that wrestling has been is a predominantly male-run industry and a predominantly male, I guess, group. Like, you know what I mean? Most of the wrestlers you see are men. But recently you've seen, as the WWE calls it, the women's evolution, where we've seen a lot of women wrestling now. But you still don't realize, but I didn't even realize that there was only a handful of them promoters. I assumed there would be more, at least in the country, but I didn't know you were one of the few in, like, the world.
There's me, there's one that just started in New Orleans. There's a couple that do it with their husbands. Of course, you got Soraya Knight, Paige's mom and dad that ran one. There's like one or two over in Texas that do it with their husbands, and one out in California, and that's about it. And mainly when you see a woman, basically, and I'm really not shitting on these women, and I like them, and I'm friends with them, but they don't even walk in their own locker room. They've never been in their locker room. They don't go around the guys. They have nothing to do with the storyline, or someone else does everything. They post on social media and they sell tickets or run the concession stand, and I just think that's kind of like it's a bitch job. And, you know, if you're going to run the company, run the company. You know, I'm tired of women being treated like secretaries in the sport. And that's what it comes down to. I've fought really hard to be taken seriously. And I was even the booker in the beginning. When I'm back to being the booker again, thanks to hashtag speaking out. Yeah, thanks for getting rid of all the sexual abusers in the sport. That gave me more work to do. Sadly.
It's a damn shame, though, like that. And I remember talking on the show multiple times with people who don't know the kind of sexual abuse that goes on when it started coming out on Twitter. And they're like, I can't believe this is happening. And it's like, unfortunately, if you don't really keep up with wrestling, like, you don't know how bad it is. I remember AJ Lee, her book came out, and she told a story about how she was stretching one day, and one of her coworkers was just like, looking a little too hard in a sexual way. And Mark Henry had to grab the dude and say, like, you will respect the women who work here. And the fact that he had to even do that, you know what I mean, it's wrong, you know what I mean? And then you have all these stories. We had one gentleman, I shouldn't even say gentleman, one guy who made a really derogatory comment to Sasha Banks that I'm not going to repeat. And more stories keep coming out, and it's sad that because it's such a male-driven, and I didn't say male-driven, because it's a lot of older guys who have the boys will be boys mentality, that you have these unfortunate and disgusting stories.
Yeah, I could sit here all day and tell you stories and the things that have been said to me. And Duke constantly says, Bennett will say from Duke's, he's like, I can't believe people talk to you like that. Well, there's nobody stopping them. That's the problem. I had a promoter, he's now a promoter, that said someone ought to stick a dick in my mouth and shut me up.
Jesus.
And I called the guy that he was on the ring crew, and I called the guy who's a sexual offender named Jason Rance. Told Jason, listen, I can't have this. You can't send these guys. They're drunk. They're carrying on. He said, yeah, boys will be boys. If you want to be in the sport, you got to learn to ignore it. I don't have to ignore it. I don't have to put up with it. I'm paying them to be there. I'm not paying them to talk about how they want to ride my female talent like horses and stuff and all weird crap they want to do. But that's what it is. You know, you have, and I said this the other day, 70% of some of these companies are perverts. And the things I've seen outside of my company just makes me wonder why I do this sometimes, to be honest.
Well, just from the outside looking in, I think it's dope. And hopefully we'll have some women listeners who will take what you're doing and go, hey, if she can do it, so can I. I don't need to have a guy running behind me to make this promotion. I can do this on my own. I think it's inspiring, you know, that you're actually doing this. And it shouldn't be the case where it's like, you know, the boys will be boys line is just, it's nasty. You know what I mean? It's something that we should take out of our vocabulary altogether.
You know, but, you know, that's the way we're taught. And, you know, I'm 56. I had to think about my age for a second. I'm 56 years old. And, you know, I grew up before a lot of sports were acceptable for women to do. I wanted to be a wrestler. I really did. But, you know, life got in the way. I wanted to, I was allowed to participate. I don't know if you remember punt, pass, and kick competitions.
Vaguely.
I was allowed to participate, but I couldn't win. And I beat most of the guys in my age division. But because I was a girl, I was allowed to play along, but I wasn't allowed to be taken seriously and go to the next level.
Even though you were beating all the guys.
I could punt. Could not pass as well, but I could punt and kick.
I mean, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I don't know if I can do any of the 3 right now.
Right now, I probably couldn't do any of the 3. I'm well past that. No, I was a huge tomboy growing up. Bowling and softball and everything, but I wasn't allowed to play baseball. I had to play softball because that's what girls did. I was allowed to bowl because my brother bowled. Even though I have more titles and won more championships and set more records, it's never weighted the same because, well, I'm a girl and my average wasn't as high as some of the guys, even though I averaged 185.
Damn. So with all of that, so what made you go, you know what, to quote Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself. So what made you decide to, like, run a wrestling company? Like, you know, what were the steps that, like, what was it like trying to do that? Because I'm assuming it wasn't an easy thing.
Polite version or real version?
Oh, give me.
We like the real version here on the Old Man Wade Show.
So I went to a show that was a train wreck and a half. And I had a company at the time. I had a community events website and newspaper, and I went down to cover it. And it was so badly run and so pathetic, and I wanted my money back. And I looked at my husband and said, I could do better than this. Give me a year to figure it out. So I spent a year. I got to be friends with Lindsay Dorado from the WWE, John Cruz, who's Serpentico, and I became friends. And I asked and watched and, decided everything that everyone was telling me to do, that I was going to do the complete opposite, because it obviously wasn't working, because none of these guys were making any money at it, and they weren't running it as a business. It was a good old boys hobby club is what it was. Well, if I can't get booked here, I'll start a company and wear my own title, blah, blah, blah. And that's what most of these crap companies are, is somebody that's, upset because they didn't get their way. So they start their own company and they bring their buddies in, and they're no different than anybody else. It's just like it's watching a bad movie be remade over and over and over.
So it's almost like, what's the phrase, watch and learn what not to do?
I always say it's like an episode of What Not to Wear, except everybody's wearing spandex.
So talk about someone like the roadblocks that may have come your way. And again, you don't have to censor yourself. You know what I mean? So go right in.
I mean, I've been told that I was only doing this so I could get laid.
Wow.
I've been told that I was only doing this, so I could watch guys change their clothes, which I've really never got to see anything. Nobody's walking around naked back there, for the love of God. It's everybody's like, well, you're a pervert, you're not a vet, and you have no place back here, and you don't know what you're doing. And I'm thinking, why am I making money at it, and why is my social media presence larger than these guys that are, vets, if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing? Because apparently I'm doing something right. I'm streaming in 120 countries right now.
Yeah, so again, you're doing something right, but I think it also comes from passion. Like, listening to you talk about it, it really sounds like this is something that you enjoy doing.
I don't enjoy it during COVID. No, I honestly, I enjoy everything that goes into it. I like the planning and the graphics and, the marketing and, it's, the editing, all the things that go into a show. And then I kind of go it's like watching a series and I show hole for like a week. When the show's done and I'm like, okay, it's all done now. I got to work with the video and start all over again. But, I enjoy it. My whole big thing is two things. I want to show girls that their voice can change the world, and I want to leave a legacy. I want to be remembered for how I make people feel. Nobody ever forgets the first time that they saw a wrestling show. The first time that somebody did something that defied gravity. I still remember my first wrestling show from 1969.
Wow.
I remember the first time I saw Jimmy Superfly Snuka come off of a cage in person. That's stuff that you don't forget. Some of the iconic entrances and stuff. Yokozuna, Andre the Giant. I met all those guys over the years. And when my son was 5 years old, I took my son to shows, and he remembers that. So, it's a lot about legacy, and it's a lot about, bonding and making an experience that families can share. Wrestling doesn't have to be as nasty and dirty and dick flipping as people think it is. Thank you, Joey Ryan.
That guy is.
I can't stand that guy.
No, I don't think anybody does.
It can be fun because I've been fortunate. I have been so fortunate and blessed to be around, the guys like Lindsay Dorado and Serpanico and. Leon Scott and these guys that have principles and have values and are dedicated and want to make the sport better than it was. They want to leave it better than it was before they started.
That makes a lot of sense, and I understand all that. And so you've provided a safe work environment, which is something I'm 100% sure your workers appreciate, especially like in this day and age.
Well, we try. we did. I'll be honest. We had somebody that we had to break off with somebody that had a lot of allegations of abuse from his mistresses, and I can't have that. I can't have the females be uncomfortable and feel that they are not protected. But we've always been. I've always prided myself on having a fun locker room and having a lot of fun. And people look forward to our shows because it's a very low stress atmosphere. We have a lot of room. The guys get to have fun. But you always have to worry about the what if factor. Sadly.
But you should be commended definitely for seeing what's going on and reacting quickly.
Yeah, we drafted, and I haven't put it out publicly, but we've always had anti-discrimination policies in place, and we had to go a little step further past that for sexual harassment, because it was never a big issue before. I've never really had sexual harassment as an issue until what's come out. We had to take that step. But I did have some homophobic stuff I had to deal with, and that was mainly fans, not so much workers. I had some fans that came from another company, the company I pretty much put out of business, that came and were yelling, very homophobic stuff at one of my wrestlers who recently came out, and I didn't hesitate to take the deputies and march him out of the building. Not going to tolerate it. I don't tolerate anybody that wants to harass anybody. That's not what they're there for. We've cut ties with a lot of people that have shown their ass at shows.
Yeah. But and again, like, I can't say this enough. Like, we've seen every day how, like, someone will go, well, they're suspended upon further investigation, and then like, yeah, and then
there is no further investigation. I hate to say that, there is no further investigation. If you're at the point I've suspended you, I already know all your shit and what you've done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
there ain't no coming back. You can't go, well, she's exaggerating, or this. No. If you lie, if you hurt somebody, if you threaten somebody, you're gone. There's no apology to come back from that, because you're stained. As far as I'm concerned, you threaten a woman in my locker room, you're never coming back. And I had that happen. I wasn't aware of it. That there were threats going on. I knew something was weird. And I asked them, but nobody would tell me. And then after the fact, I found out about the one particular wrestler. But she wasn't comfortable enough to tell me at that point. But they made it really public what all had been said. But you know something's wrong. You can just feel it when you're back there. There's just we don't really have tension, and when I see tension, I'm like, come to the bathroom. I need you to help me with something.
Yeah. And you said something that my wife's mentioned about, and people always go, well, why do they take so long to come to say something? And if you'd like to expand on why it's like, like when you hear stories like this of why people.
Oh, I can imagine even being in the wrestling world, especially with the way things are allowed to happen, and have been allowed to happen for years. I can imagine being a female wrestler thinking that every owner, that every promoter, they're all going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine why she was probably like afraid, to come forward, because I
had never met her before.
Yeah. So she probably didn't know any better
from social media. She didn't know how I would react.
Exactly. Which is a lot of the fear that comes along with a lot of people coming out about anything, is like, what is the reaction going to be? Because in most cases, it's not to protect the victim; it's to protect the perpetrator.
Yeah.
So I actually commend you. That's really it's great that you promote that, and it's so important that it is promoted. And I'm hoping that a lot of companies are gonna start gearing towards this way. I mean, it's probably not going to happen in my lifetime, but
it just amazes me, because some of these people I've heard stories about, and I see them on shows, and I'm thinking, why are they on that show? And they're like, oh, but the fans want to come see them. But they're bringing that person in and not booking the girls that have trouble getting bookings to begin with. and they blacklist the girls.
Exactly.
And it happens. The girls come forward and say, so-and-so did this, or so-and-so, was this, and the girls end up blacklisted.
Which is
by a lot of companies, because they don't want the drama in the locker room, because they feel that the guys are the bigger draw. And it happens. It really does happen.
You know, and what's funny is I haven't been into wrestling as much as I have recently. It's like sometimes the product becomes stale. But I noticed that when I do give a crap about the product, I'm looking for, like, Shayna Baszler is probably my favorite wrestler right now. I love me some Shayna Baszler. I love watching Bayley. I love watching Sasha Banks. I've been on social media following, like, more independent wrestlers now. And the good thing about this is I'm noticing them as people more, not just wrestlers. Let's take, like, Nicole Savoy, for example. I love how she, like, speaks on, like, how she didn't like the person that she was, and then once she stopped looking for acceptance, she started to love who she's become. Like, she loves video games. She loves, like, nerdy stuff. She loves being awkward. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's, like, listening to these stories and people, it's like, well, I don't really get that same vibe from a lot of the male wrestlers. And don't get me wrong, I still love them. I love the Big Show. I love watching the Big Show. I love watching Shelton Benjamin. But I don't really get that same kind of emotional feel when I see a lot of the male wrestlers anymore. It's almost like, I'm here and I'm established, so I don't need to, like, become better. But for the women competitors, it always seems like there's a little more hunger to what they're doing, because it's almost like in a drop of a hat they can just go, this experiment's over, we don't care anymore.
Well, Naomi's a good example of that. I mean, she's one of the most phenomenal women I've ever seen work. They don't push her. There's a lot of people they don't push. They don't like their attitude. They don't like their look. They don't like this. They don't like that. And I'm not a huge Bayley fan. I am so tired of Bayley. I'm tired of Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Give me Shayna. Give me
Naomi.
Give me Natalia. Give me these other amazing wrestlers that are out there. They're, Dana Brooke. So many girls are on that roster that you don't see, and you have 6-7 matches and only one is a woman's match, and half the time they cut to commercial, or they have like a 4-minute match. What's the sense of that? Their entrances are longer than their matches.
It's like having cheerleaders at the football game. I feel like that's what they do. It's like, here, guys, let's take a break and see these fine ladies.
What's really bad, women's matches were bathroom breaks.
Yes.
Because they would have the champion, and she's now in NXT. She refused. She would not take a booking and would not unless she was winning. So you knew she was going to win. It was always against one of her students. It was the same match pretty much every time with the same finish. And I went to the concession stand. I got me a double shot of Jack. They had alcohol at that show. I got me a hot dog, a double shot of Jack, a Coke, and I went to the bathroom, and and that's how long it took for her match to end. There was nothing exciting about it at all, because I knew she was going to win every single time. It wasn't even worth watching.
There was a comment Booker T made about Naomi, and I remember she lost to Lacey Evans, and I remember talking to my best friend, and I'm like, Naomi lost to Lacey Evans, and he goes, unfortunately, Naomi's lost to Lacey Evans 157 times, and I'm like, but I don't get it. He goes, neither do I, dude. And I guess so that next day on Twitter, it was a hashtag that I guess did better than all of wrestling that night, and it was like Naomi deserves better. And Booker T, I'm trying to find the exact comment. Booker T thoughts on Naomi deserves better. Okay, they can go to hell with all these hashtags as far as I'm concerned. Nobody deserves a chance, all right? First and foremost, you have to earn your chance and your spot on the roster. This is not some movement just to pull somebody up, because I hate to sit here and say this and talk this way because I like Naomi. But as far as business goes, you get it on merit alone. So I'm gonna stop it right there. When she won her the SmackDown title at WrestleMania, the place erupted. It was actually one of the biggest pops of the night. When she had to relinquish her title for minor injuries, people were pissed. Then she came back and won the title again, and people loved it. She went from becoming a cheerleader for the Funkasaurus or the Funkadactyl, whatever he was, to becoming, I think, the most athletic and one of the most talented women on the roster. And it's like she has to earn that. I'm like, okay, what else does she have to do? She's been putting people over. She's been winning matches. She's had matches when she was still super fresh and like having like the best. I remember her feud with Paige was incredible. And this was when she was still sort of green and still finding her role. And now she's out there just dominating. When she came back in the Royal Rumble this year, big afro, everyone just erupted. Her look, like she's embracing who she is. But for him to say something like that, it's like, I expected more from Booker T.
Booker T's a jerk.
being a black guy in a predominantly white male industry, knowing what it's like to be that and looked at a certain way, I would expect him to know better, especially considering that she has
talent. Yeah,
she has talent. She has put in her dues.
You know, he's one to talk because he's got a student in AEW that Rochelle Chanel. Hate her gimmick, worst gimmick I ever saw, with her stupid bag and brushing her hair all the time. And you can't tell me he didn't help her get on there because of her name, and he didn't push her into Ring of Honor tryouts, and he didn't help her get advantages. Naomi's can do, and does more than most women can do, but nobody wants. Vince McMahon does not want a black female champion to have a long reign.
Nope, he does not.
You get a token win, and that's it.
I know you don't really like her, but let's take Bayley for example. People don't even know that she's Mexican. Like, you know what I mean? That like she has Mexican heritage. It's like I hate to say it like this, it's like they white her up almost. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like
they whitewash her.
You can be Irish or English, and you can be a Canadian, but they do not push Hispanics and women in the WWE. They don't really push black women. But think how many black women there are, because really there's Bianca Blair, there's Kaden Carter, she used to be Lacey Lane, and there's Naomi. And there's a couple others, but there's not a single one of them that you see main eventing. They're buried down in NXT.
And I forgot, Amber Moon.
An Amber Moon.
Before her unfortunate injury, everybody loved her. Like, she should have been, it was like, they pushed her for like a second, and then we just didn't see her again, and then when we seen her again, she got hurt, and it's like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's almost like, what was the point of having this super athletic, super hungry, super talented woman to do nothing with her?
I swear they just keep them for Black History Month, and so they can do a photo op, and that's about it.
Don't get me started on that.
You don't see them main eventing. You don't see them tagging. You don't see them doing the stuff. They're house show people. Yeah. They're not getting on television. I haven't seen Amber Moon and them in forever. I rarely get to see them in an event. I mean, they're usually a pre-show on the main events, on the pay-per-views. I mean, I'm telling you, they like women in the sport, but they don't want you to overshine certain people.
Yeah, let's I remember Duke posting something on the Wrestling Crew page about how many teams we have that were like, that weren't white. Like, it's like this is the most diverse group of champions we've had. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Let's see what it looks like in a year. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, let's not act as if this isn't a marketing ploy because now it's become an issue. You know what I mean? It's like you can't say anymore, oh, see, the New Day are champion, so everything's fine. Or, hey, Asuka was champion, so, everything's good now. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, is it though? It's like, you had Asuka, like, the way they treated her after she came from NXT, it was like, you had this incredibly dominant, like when she was a face, she was putting people over. And when she was a heel, she was scary. She had to go to YouTube and create a whole different persona for anyone in the WWE to actually pay attention to her.
Oh, her YouTube stuff is hysterical.
Yeah.
I love her, especially when she does like food and stuff.
Yeah.
On YouTube, that is hysterical.
And then we have
that's like Leva Bates. They dumped Leva Bates out of NXT because she got drunk and made a stupid comment, pretty much. Now she's over on AEW, but you should watch her on Twitch. I mean, she's got a Twitch channel. She is like a super gaming nerd on Twitch.
And I want to circle back to Bianca Belair. She made her main roster debut, and I was like, yes, she's here. And then we don't see her again. Like, literally, there is nothing she can't do. But, you know what I mean? What are they going to do with her? Is she too muscular, quote unquote, to be a champion? Is she too, quote unquote, black to be champion? You know what I mean? So there, and it's like, then you have her husband, I think his name is Montel or Montez. And it's like, as good as he is, it's like, you know, are they really going to do anything with them? What happens if the Street Profits gimmick runs its course? It's like, are we going to have them turning into, like, just stepping stones? You know what I mean?
It's hard to tell. They're so weird about the body image and, you know, what they want them to do. You know, and they say, well, we want them to be, you know, better wrestlers, but don't do stuff that everyone can't do. And it's like I'll go out there and I'll be watching. You know, I'll occasionally watch the WWE product, and I'll see Naomi, and she'll come slide across her knees and do these moves, and I'm like, holy crap! And those other girls are looking at her going, really? We're not doing that.
But you know what's funny is it's like that diversity could make the product good. Like, look at Kevin Owens. If you looked at Kevin Owens, there is no reason he should be able to do the things that he does. But he doesn't look like the Ultimate Warrior. So that's a problem.
No, he just looks like somebody you want to have a beer with.
Yeah. Oh, look at like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is not, again, a guy you'd rather just sit and have a beer with. But like, the crowd loves them, but it's just like they don't fit the body type image that they want promoting the company.
Well, Vince is big into the body type. I mean, he really is. He always has been. And you look back over the years, and the people that he pushed and didn't push. You either were a big hoss like Stan Hansen, or you were like super muscular like Lex Luger and Sid Vicious and those guys. He liked a certain look. And there's only like 3 body types. But, you know, I was surprised, honestly, with some that they ever let Chyna do anything because she didn't look feminine enough for them.
Yes. And that was shocking. Let's talk about some happy stuff. What are some things that, like, you're proud of with your company? What are some things that, like, you look back fondly on and go, you know what? These are the reasons why I do what I do.
I recently got to do a youth program, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was the at-risk youth that are in the Alternative Learning Center. I got to go in and talk to them about, you know, different things that they can do in following their dreams, and almost everyone in that room, and it was funny because the teachers and the aides were like big wrestling fans, you know, that, you know, you may not be an athlete, you may not have the grades, but, you know, you could be a graphic designer, you could be an announcer, you could design costumes, you know, and I was talking about all the different things that you know, that go into it, and it was just so cool because I'm used to going to, like, networking events, talking to adults, and they zone out and eat their salad, but these kids were, like, so excited. They're like, you know, they're sketching costumes on their notepads, and, you know, they're talking about, you know, all these things and building websites. And I'm thinking, you know, you don't have to be a performer to be in the sport. So maybe, hopefully, maybe someday they'll do something or even start a podcast and talk about wrestling. But, you know, getting to have that connection and using wrestling as a way to connect to kids at risk was one of the coolest things I think I've ever got to do.
That's amazing. And again, you know how it is. Kids are like sponges. Like, you know what
Yes.
I mean? You can literally, they can soak up all the positive things in the world. And I've mentioned on this show before, like, my 7th grade teacher was instrumental on me finding my voice. Like, you know what I mean? I'm still kind of shy with certain things, but I'm more likely to, like, find my voice with this and in my writing. So, like, you know, so you remember the things like this. So for you, you've almost definitely inspired someone to be like, you know what, I can do this because she did this. And again, you'll hear me say this again, I commend you for it. We need more people like that. We need more women who do that. You know what I mean? Like, so like you can inspire the next generation of people who aren't going to like believe they can't do this, because they can always look back and go, Kim said I could, so I'm going to do it.
I mean, there's things that, you know, I do a lot of things that a lot of people don't do. Like we have a trading card line, and I know you've seen me talk about that in different wrestling groups. And a digital magazine, and it was so funny because when I came out with that, I was really mocked about it. But while everybody's sitting here not able to run shows, I'm bringing out new trading card lines, and I'm making money every week. So, you know, who's the idiot now?
So that's okay. Talk about that, because I know definitely one of my friends, shout out to Fletcher, will appreciate like, you know, like the trading card line or like the digital magazine. So talk about that.
Well, I started in like 2016. I thought it would be cool because when you go to a wrestling show, and this is how it works, you know how it is, you go to a show and they get t-shirts, and t-shirts are $20. So if you're bringing your three kids to a show, you're not going to hand them $20. But if you have something there that's $1 or $2, those kids will hit that well all night long. But you know, I came out with a trading card line, and it started out, I think there was like 48 cards, then there were 60. We're on our 3rd series now, mainly because I had people that no longer work for me, people that have retired, people that are sexual predators. I'm just joking. Just people that I don't want in the cards because the things that came out, like Dave Christ was on our cards. I can't have Dave Christ on my cards anymore. Not after, you know, when you got, you know, abuse and rape allegations against people, you can't be selling a trading card.
Exactly.
With that. But we just came out with a classic series of 12, which is some of our legends, Lince Dorado, Serpentico, Rockulo, Santana Garrett. I'm a blank on who's on them. And then we came out with a new 48 card set. I've been out 2 weeks, and I've had about 30-40 card orders already.
Okay. Where can they go to purchase the cards? I'll definitely grab some myself.
On our website, ignitewrestling.com.
Perfect. Easy enough to remember.
I honestly, I keep everything on there. I also just started, and I just announced it, we're on Etsy, so people can actually buy our products on Etsy as well. I haven't sold a lot on Etsy, but the traffic is insane on Etsy. We have our own hot sauce. We have a digital magazine on Zinio, and I just found it this weekend on discountmags.com, which cracked me up because I love discount anything. But you know, I have a little, and I'm going to show you because you and I are on video and you can see what I'm holding. We have our own dry rub.
Oh wow!
Really?
We have hot sauce. We have dry rub. We have koozies. We have hats and shirts and hoodies and ball caps and toboggans and baby onesies and you name it. I am the queen of merch because I do this. I am like so invested in this that I was trying to find something for everyone. And you know, the magazine, we had done the magazine a little bit on our own, and then we partnered with Zinio. So we're on the same platform. It's funny, if you type it, go to zinio.com and type in wrestling, we're right beside Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and I like mark out every time I see that.
That's so damn cool.
Because that's the only 2 wrestling magazines on there right now. And I'm like, yeah. So when you type it in, there we are. But, you know, it's just, you know, having something that's going to last. And I have collectors that wait for the cards to come out. And they have them on their websites. And we even, we were rated as one of the top 5 indie cards by Pro Wrestling Torch website, PW Torch, in their collectibles column. But, you know, it's just having something small that kids can grab at a show, and they can autograph, and they have it, and they can keep it, and, you know, it's just something that, you know, they can hold on to, and, you know, always have.
I think that the name of this episode might be Ignite Wrestling's Queen of Merch.
I'm not as merchy. I'm not as merchy as Ray Fury. He is the king of. He has watches that have his, and now I want watches, and my husband was like, no watches. But come on, I even have earrings. I have honestly, I have earrings. I have phone grips. I have little phone grips that go on your phone. I have keychains. Yeah, I'm the queen of like the $3 to $5 merchandise.
But first off, my wife always says we've talked about this for years, even before I started the podcast, and I was just thinking about what to do with my future. And she was saying, if you're gonna do something, you have to make sure you have a brand, because that's how you protect your brand. You make sure that this is something that's easily recognizable. It's one of the reasons why the Old Man Wade logo hasn't changed much. But I've been trying to finagle certain things to kind of switch it up a bit, I guess. But the stuff you're doing is like, you're 100% right. So it's like, if I go to a show, it's like, all right, I could buy a T-shirt for $20, or I could buy 3 things for $20. So like, you know what I mean? So your merch is still selling, and you have a happy consumer. And with these trading cards, it's like, all right, I'll buy these 5 because I like the look. And then one of your performers come out and knocks out the park. It's like, all right, I need their card too. I need their card right now. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a dope idea. Like, you know what I mean? Just it's genius, actually. Like, you know what I mean? Because you don't really need, like, you don't have to sell an $80 bobblehead to make an $80 profit.
I'll tell you off camera how much I make per set, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Don't talk.
Won't say it on here, but you know, but it was something different, and you know, I know how to use graphic software and Photoshop, and it was something easy to do, and you know. And you're right. So somebody comes out, and especially like we'll have a masked wrestler come out, and every kid. It'll be funny as that match ends, and every little kid's over there at the concession stand, you know, because they want to get that card, and then here comes a big guy. Oh, I want his card, you know, and the parents they won't give the kid $20, but the kid keeps asking for $2, and I get that $20. I just get it $2 at a time.
And I just picture you like kind of just overseeing everything. Go, gotcha.
I'm like cha-ching. And I don't even work concession, but I'm sitting there just watching the kids go over there.
Like Mr. Burns sitting there. Excellent.
Excellent.
Damn it, Wade!